You may be happy to know that I'm the final speaker tonight, although our evening won't be over because there are a few more little surprises. And Daryl and Rena and I did not compare notes before our speeches were to be delivered. So you may notice some threads of commonality. No repeats exactly, but you'll forgive me if some of the themes are repeated. And just so you can be prepared, I'll let you know that I do intend to conclude my remarks with a toast to our guest of honor. So you may want to top up your glass of wine or water, or turn your water into wine, or whatever you want to do, but that will be the conclusion. So my husband Dave and I first came to VUC in the fall of 1993. Our oldest son, Graham, was 3. I was very obviously pregnant, and we had just moved to Bedford from the Toronto area. Not surprisingly, we were very warmly greeted that Sunday morning by Ann McVicker. And she positively gushed about this new minister who was going to arrive in just a few weeks. Well, David, little did we know what a profound effect you and VUC would have on us and our family over the next 25 years. Our one child soon became 2 and eventually 3, and we were swept up in the excitement of life and the busyness of work and home and school and kids' sports and all of that stuff. VUC became part of the fabric of our lives. It was sometimes a challenge to get 3 kids and 2 adults out of the house in time for the 9 o'clock service, because goodness knows that's early. But it mattered to us. We were come from a ways. I haven't been called that for quite some time, so that makes me feel at home. But then we were come from a ways, and VUC was a warm and welcoming place to meet people, make friends, and get to know our adopted home. Now, the influence that David and Rick and Jen and the whole VUC community really had on Dave and I, but especially on our kids, has been huge. VUC has provided us with opportunities to explore the world, our community, and ourselves. We say it takes a village to raise a child, and VUC is our village. And you, David, have been the village leader, guiding VUC to become a sanctuary of love that welcomes everyone. Of course, it didn't take long before David and Carolyn were tapping us on the shoulders to get involved. Well, Dave here's been the treasurer for I don't know how many years. And me, well, I've dabbled in a few different roles, and some might call me a Jack or Jane, no offense intended, of all trades when it comes to VUC. And a good question, and one that I know my Dave has asked more than once, is, how did you get roped into doing all this stuff? And the answer, as everyone in this room knows, is you cannot say no to David Hart. Right? You can't say no to this man. If someone asked me to describe David Hart, there would be 3 parts to my answer. And now you can tell that I've listened to a couple of David's sermons because there's always a sequence, right? Well, for me, there's three parts. And the first part of my description of David is that he has an uncanny sense of the skills and abilities of people he meets. He can see through the exterior and into the heart. When he asks someone to take on a role or do a task, it's likely something that person already has some passion for. Now, you know, he invites newcomers to attend a welcoming session or VUC 101, and he ostensibly that's so they're going to learn about the congregation and the bigger church, right? Poppycock! From the very very beginning of his ministry, David wanted to learn about us, so he knew what project to rope us into or what task we might be able to do. But truthfully, it's through this involvement that we've gotten to know one another. We've become friends, and we've built this wonderful community that's so well represented here tonight. One of the things that David has said over the years is, everyone is a minister. And he has proven that he truly believes this by the way he pulls out the gifts and the skills and the talents of individuals to weave this tapestry that is our wonderful community. The second part of my description of David is he likes to be on the cutting edge. When the 9 o'clock service started in 1996, it had some fairly unusual attributes, like coffee and muffins in the pews, sacrilege, projected lyrics instead of hymn books, and lively music that became increasingly rich with more and more instruments and drums yet. The style of worship and progressive theology appealed to many people, and soon the sanctuary was bursting at the seams. At a time when many churches were reducing expenses and cutting back on programming, what did BUC do? $1.1 million renovation. Thank you very much, and we'll pay that off in just a few years. In the year 2000 annual report, David said, "The building project is intended to help the critical infrastructure for future ministries," and that's a quote. And indeed, the ministries flourished, with enhanced programming for youth and children, refugee sponsorship, and in May of 2006, BUC became the first affirming congregation in Nova Scotia, and the second east of Montreal, and thanks to Ann Head for checking my facts. Now we know that David is a voracious reader, and he's been introducing us to interesting texts and authors and ideas for 25 years. Repeatedly, his talks and sermons have encouraged us to think about the relationship between science and faith. He's talked about cosmology and quantum mechanics to give us a better understanding of the nature of God. Well, these days, the shelves and chapters are full of books about science and faith. Another example of David being just a bit ahead of his time, on the cutting edge. Now, if he becomes the moderator of the United Church of Canada, who knows what might happen? The third and final part of my description of David is that he has a profound love, care, and concern for all of us. I believe it's his deep faith and ironclad connection to that ultimate reality and source of life that enables him to genuinely see the face of God in the face of every person he meets. David has met us where we are, at difficult points in our lives, to ease the transition of many of our loved ones from this world and help us deal with those losses. He's presided at innumerable funerals, helping us to say goodbye while supporting us through our grief. He has been a steady arm and a shoulder to cry on through illnesses and marriage and relationship challenges and issues with unpredictable children and employment troubles too, always acknowledging our grief and our sadness with concern, but at the same time, helping us to keep looking forward. Of course, David has been there for us in the happy times as well, at weddings, celebrating at births and baptisms of children, and graduations and career successes. But I think it's in the difficult times that we have especially appreciated his strength and comfort. The hugs at the back of the sanctuary have been a weekly reminder of David's support for us all. Now, when David told us back in the fall of 2013 that he was going to undergo chemotherapy treatments for 6 months, it was an opportunity for the congregation to reverse that flow of care and concern for a short time. And the hearts were showered with love and cards and oh, so many casseroles. David, the memory book you received on Thursday that's out on display in the foyer is full of many personal stories, and Daryl just shared many of them, and remembrances of what your ministry has meant to oh, so many people. Now, we would be remiss if we didn't take a brief opportunity to say a special thank you to Danielle and Kinza as well. Exactly. Very, very helpful. All the while that David was ministering to us and caring for us, it meant he was often not with you, not home for dinner, for evening conversations or homework assistance. Danielle has said that one of the things she's most looking forward to when David retires is that they will even be able to do things on weekends. We know that Danielle has provided steadfast support for David throughout his ministry from behind the scenes. In the preface to his recent book, David says that his talks have been blessed with Danielle's questions, insight, and wisdom. So we too have benefited from Danielle's clarity of thought and perspective. So Danielle and Kinza, thank you. Thank you for letting David tell stories about you. Just for fun or to make a point, but often to add humor. But especially, thank you for sharing David with all of us through so many years. Your patience, good humor, and commitment to BUC has been a source of strength, not only to David, but to the whole community. Now, but as a side note, hopefully you won't find once he's retired that he's just too much of a good thing, and you won't be looking for ways to send him back. So, in conclusion, David, you have been an absolute blessing to Bedford United Church for 25 years, and I will not try to describe any further how much of a blessing you have been to me. So thank you, and may God bless you as you head off into a future full of opportunities and possibilities. Please remember that you will always have friends at BUC, and we certainly hope to see you often. To paraphrase from the epilogue of your recent book, may your retirement from BUC be a stepping stone to new journeys and new discoveries. So, as I said, I'd like to end these remarks with a toast. So I invite everyone to fill your glass with whatever it is at hand and stand as you are able. And I suggest to David Hart, with thanks for 25 years of wonderful ministry amongst us. David, the Spirit in each of us honors the Spirit in you. Namaste. Namaste.